looks like Duncan Keith will be skating with the group today. What's kind of your understanding of his time in quarantine and the type of shape he was able to keep himself in? Like, what do you expect here for him to get back up to speed?
Says he's in great shape, so I wasn't monitoring him, but he says he's in great shape. He looks good. He'll skate today, skate tomorrow, skate Sunday, and we'll see where we are for him Monday, possibly playing.
When you have the experience level he has, missing a bit of time in camp, you expect he'll be fully up to speed and ready for ramp up?
Yeah, I don't think that'll be an issue for him at all.
Dave, can you just run through the itinerary today? This is something that you probably haven't, as a team, ever gone through. Just run through what you got to do even to get there with border crossings and then just to get back and everything like that.
It's fairly normal getting there because we park our cars at one terminal, get shuttled over to another, go through customs, get on the plane, you go down, and with customs there's the extra stuff of showing vaccination, showing negative test, and you go down and then turn around and everybody has to do the Arrive Canada app coming home. So it's just a few more details in it, but hopefully everything goes smooth.
Do you think that could weigh on guys that are trying to make a little bit more of an impact here?
If that's a distraction they're worried about, they're probably not going to make it anyway, right? So they worry about playing.
Is there anyone tonight that you're really kind of focusing on to see what they can do to make a little bit of an impact here?
We got a lot of guys that are still pushing. We've got you look at Shore, Perlini, Griffiths are all guys, and then you got McLeod, Benson, Marody in there. I mean, there's guys that are pushing. Guys that it's good for them to be playing. Put it that way.
Dave, speaking of guys like McLeod and Benson, last week we're talking about their confidence at this level and them finding it. What have they shown you through these first 3 games, and what are you looking for from those as they continue on through the preseason?
No, they've all been solid, but they got to continue to be solid. And the competition, as you go on in camp, competition gets harder. You start to see better lineups on teams as the exhibition games go on. So they'll continue to see that. But I've mentioned it from the start. They both, all those guys have come in great shape. So the first step, they're putting themselves in a position where they can be successful. Now, if I'm in a lot of those guys' places, I want to play as many games as I can. I want to show as well as I can, and that's what we're trying to do, put them in games, and we'll see where everything falls out at the end of next week.
Are things becoming a little clearer on that front in your depth positions?
I wouldn't say clear. There's still some time to go here, right? Like I said, there's some of the exhibition games coming up this week. I anticipate lineups, more NHL-heavy lineups, so you're going to get a better read on where people are at, and that's the way it goes all the time through camp. So, you got players who are getting up to speed, but then you have those players. You're trying to find the rhythm in your lineup. You're trying to find where the pieces fit, and what each player brings to that to help you win. So those are all things. You get down to the nitty-gritty. Like there's some you have young players that are. Some that went out yesterday, there'll be some going out tomorrow that, they probably knew they were going to start in the minor leagues or whatever, that they knew this was coming. They know they have to work on the game. And then there's other guys that are coming in they're hoping for a shot at playing on the NHL roster. So the decisions get harder as you get into those guys.
Some of these early games, the road team sends a lot of younger guys, and the home teams. Is that, from a coaching perspective, pretty helpful to see how your young guys fare in that situation you're going against?
You know what they do? They get thrown into roles that are maybe a little more expanded than they would normally get, which is good to see them in those roles. Some of it might be roles that they aspire to get into. Some of them are just they're getting better at a role. So the better the competition, you get to measure them against that, but. For the most part, our guys have been pretty good. We put some young players in tough positions to see where they're at, and it's good for us, but it's also good for the player. The player, you jump into those games, and from the outside, when you haven't played an NHL game or even an NHL exhibition game, you jump into it, oh, I can do that, and then you get into it, and you go, ooh, that was a big step. So they end up recognizing that they got a long way to go, a lot of them, to get up to where they need to be. So. For the player and for people evaluating him, that's a good thing.
However it shakes down, did you look at what you might have as a fourth line and say that's going to be obviously a bit of a different element for this team than it has been in the past?
That's what we're still looking at, like the different elements that come into play and what become useful with the rhythm of your lines. And that's something, as we get down here a little bit, we're going to continue to look at next week.
Sort of following up on that, Archibald's status is to be determined. Seaver's going to fourth consecutive game today.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have Archibald, would it be better to have a right shot to replace him? Does it matter in terms of making the team?
Some of it depends on the role, the penalty killing role, the players that we're having a look at there. So it's some of it will depend on that. We have some right-handed penalty killers. You got Hyman is a good killer. I think Yamo can do some of that. And, we haven't pushed Pugliarvi into that yet. So we have some right-handed guys there. But that being said, we'll continue to evaluate as it goes on and see where that's that rhythm I want to look at next week. With you get into a game and penalties and who you're using on your power play, who are going to slide into the penalty kill. The rhythm of it is, as we get down in numbers here, we'll get a better read on that.
How have you thought Seaver has played through the first three games of preseason?
He's been pretty solid. You can he's a veteran guy that he comes in, he understands exactly how he has to play to give himself a chance to play on our team. So he hasn't deterred from that, which has been good for him. He's we try to use him in as much penalty killing as we can. Tonight he's going to play along the line with McLeod and Benson that we're, just like we talked about. I mean, you could say that could be a fourth line for us, right? So we'll see how it goes tonight. We'll see how they fit together, and we'll continue to evaluate.
Dave, I'm just curious about your top line tonight. It looks kind of like a hybrid line, guys that have played all over in preseason, and you had them on the first power play there at the skate this morning. What do you want to see from those guys in terms of any type of chemistry, or just trying to get them into different roles?
Well, first of all, Ryan and Yamo they were hoping to play in Washington, that's part of it. I want to get, we got Fogel on the road with our group last week, and wanted to get Hyman on the road tonight. So, it'll be a hard working line. There'll be a working line that, Hyman's still going to start with McDavid. That we haven't changed our thought process on that. But just it's it's a time where you can try a couple different things and just look around and just see what might come of it.
And is there any change or update on Chris Russell? Could he play tomorrow, or are you still looking at next?
Oh, not tomorrow. I think I talked to Rusty a little bit this morning. There's a chance we might shoot for Thursday on him. We'll get a couple of days of practice, and then if he can get through 2 good days of practice, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then if he gets through that all right, I think there's a chance he could play Thursday. That's tentatively. That's kind of what we're talking about.
And Dave, is there an update on what ails Archibald?
No, not yet. Should they've done a bunch of stuff here the last few days. We should have some kind of a synopsis on where we're at here in the next day or two.
Dave, the game tonight's kind of a late one when you're 8 o'clock Edmonton, and then you got the 5 o'clock turnaround tomorrow. So do you rule out guys going back to back with the start times 21 hours apart?
No, we don't have enough players to do that now.
So when you look at that and you see, is it based on how guys play, or do the guys know going in tonight that they're playing?
It's based on opportunity. A lot of those players we talked about, they're going to get the opportunity to do it again tomorrow in a hard back-to-back. So that's what it's based on. The guys that are playing back-to-back. I think there's, three forwards and a couple D.